cold. It's really cold. How we're going to start our day off with the Word of God. We're going to check out Psalm 2. To really understand Psalm 2, you got to understand Psalm 1. You got to put them together. Psalm 1 is all about the blessed life of living a life in the Word of God, meditating upon the Word of God every day. And when you do that, you are like this tree planted by this river that is bringing forth fruit. You are a nourishment to everything around you. You have a life cut off from wickedness. You're devoted to the Word of God. And you are just plugged into God. That's the way you're supposed to be. Psalm 1 is connected to Psalm 2. They're best to read together. But I'm not covering Psalm 1 today. We're on Psalm 2, so let's go through this. It's freezing. Why do the nations rage and the people plot a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bonds in pieces and cast away their cords from us. Right off the bat, I think that you can see the truth in this from just looking around you at what's going on this planet. The people of the earth are plotting a vain thing. The nations are raging. The kings of the earth, those who are in power around the world, they take up counsel together. They're in one accord. They have one mindset. And their mindset is against God. No doubt about that. But it's not only against God. It says it's against the Lord and against his anointed. They are against Jesus Christ. And you cannot separate being against God from being against Jesus Christ. It's one and the same. If you don't like Jesus, you don't like God. If you don't like God, you don't like Jesus. You can't parse those two. Jesus is God. And as you see further on in here in this psalm, the Son and the Father are with one another. And this is a message that is coming from within the Trinity itself. They want to break the bonds of accountability from Jesus Christ, who is the coming ruler of this world. And they don't want anything to do with it. And ultimately, all of the efforts of the world leaders out there, they're against Jesus. And if you look around, we are seeing the emergence of something I don't think the world has ever seen. We are seeing big media, big tech, big pharma, the governments of the world, the prime ministers, kings, presidents, governors, they're all in a cohort where they all have the same mindset. It doesn't matter if you're, the executive of some big corporation or if you're the head of a state. You all have the same mindset now. And they're working together, and everybody's got to play and step and be in lockstep with one another, or you're on the outskirts. And they're against God. Let's keep reading. What is God's response to this? He who sits in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall hold them in derision. Then he shall speak to them in his wrath, and distress them in his deep displeasure. Yet I have set my king on my holy hill of Zion. So that's good news. God's not worried about it. I know it's easy for us to start worrying about this and look around and go, man, everything's going crazy. I feel like everything's against me. It's hard to raise my kids in a world like this. Everything's just upside down. It is upside down world out there. But God's laughing. God says, I'm laughing at you. I am holding you in derision. You have defied me. I'm coming for you. You are going to taste the wrath of God. And he has his king on his hill in Zion. That is a coming reality. Jesus Christ is going to reign from the throne of David in the city of Jerusalem on top of Mount Zion, that holy hill. I will declare the decree. The Lord has said to me, this is now Jesus talking. The Lord has said to me, you are my son. Today I have begotten you. Remember, who is God's only begotten son? That's Jesus. Today I have begotten you. Ask of me, and I will give you the nations for your inheritance, and the ends of the earth for your possession. You shall break them with a rod of iron. You shall dash them to pieces like a potter's vessel. Jesus Christ is going to rule this planet. That reality is coming. That day marches forward. We're waiting. We've got to be patient. Things around us are crumbling. Fine. There is a king who will be upon the hill of Zion, and he is going to have the nations for his inheritance. He will rule with a rod of iron. He is going to take his enemies and dash them to pieces like a clay pot, like a baseball bat and a clay pot. It's going to be brutal. And we're going to get to see it, those of us who put our trust in him. So, what is the instruction here? Now, therefore, be wise, O kings. Be instructed, you judges of the earth. This is an order from God to the rulers of this age, to the kings, to the presidents, to the prime ministers, to the senators, the congressmen, the judges, those who hold authority over people. They've been granted that authority by God. They didn't get there themselves. God allowed them. God put them in those positions. And they have one order to obey. Serve the Lord with fear. All of you judges, kings of the earth. They're accountable to God. And we should never be afraid to remind them of that. They stand before God who is holy, who is righteous, and they have been instructed by God and in his word that they're accountable to him and they are to do right. They don't get to do whatever they want. They're accountable to this holy God. He says, serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry. The word kiss here that's translated, it could also be embrace. Embrace the Son. The kings of the earth and the judges of the earth, they are to embrace the Son of God. They are to serve him with fear and trembling, just as we are. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and you perish in the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all those who put their trust in him. Psalm 1 says, blessed is the man who doesn't walk with the ungodly, but meditates on the law of the Lord. And then the end of Psalm 2, it finishes with blessed. Blessed are those who put their trust in him. You want that blessed life? You want a life of meaning? A life that feels fulfilled, like it's mattered? You put your trust in him every day. And that's how you go forth. You start your day like this. You go out there, you get after it in your job. You come home, you kiss your wife and kids. You be that man that you're supposed to be. You have that blessed life. And then when you have that, when you're meditating on that, the word of God, you're like that tree. You're solid. You are resolute. You're not going to be shaken by the things of this earth. The kings of the earth, they can take counsel up against God, and it's going to affect us in certain ways, but God's going to laugh, and we are to remember that our King is coming, and that's who we're hanging on for. Semper Fi. Dave Battle out.